A little more of the same, a little more of different. Some ups, some downs, but all in all, we got 4 wins in a row. So who are we to complain? Welcome back to the Town Tailgate Podcast. I am Chris Madrigal.
I am Julio Reynoso. We still have baseball.
We still have
It's
baseball,
as of
so
Wednesday, August 5th, we still have baseball, so we bless the baseball gods.
yeah. And you know what? And we got some wins out of it, but national news has got a little crazy. So Julio, we got a lot to talk about today, so let's just jump right into it, huh?
Let's do it.
All right, so we'll start with news around the league like we always do. First piece of the news around the league is, of course, a few players have opted out of the season. A couple games in, Lorenzo Cain opted out a few days ago, and Yoenis Cespedes about a day after that. I haven't done too much research on Lorenzo Cain's reason. I think it was it similar to just too many cases around the league, and he was getting a little worried.
No, I think he just saw that. I think he just saw that Chris and Yelich is like batting below 100, and he's like, "Yeah, the season's on it. I'm dipping now."
So the Brewers are just straight shit, and he was just like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sit out. No, they haven't really said any reasoning, and honestly, I don't think we deserve to hear why somebody's doing it.
No,
If they want to opt out, go for it.
no, I'm not holding it against him. I'm just curious. I mean, Lorenzo Cain's always been like kind of a quiet, reserved guy in terms of personal life. Like on the field, he's got his big grin, his best smile in the league, by the way. But yeah, he's always just been kind of like quiet and reserved guy, all about business. So I get it. Yoenis Cespedes, on the other hand, I was reading about this. Jeff Passan wrote an article on ESPN.com. He quoted it as he was just over it. That was the best way that he could explain it. So, Yoenis Cespedes signed a 4-year, $80 million contract 4 years ago. He's in the last year of his deal with the Mets, so he's a free agent in this offseason. This was going to be kind of like an important year for him to potentially sign another big deal. He is an extremely talented player, as all A's fans know, because he played for us for 4 seasons as well. I think so. This came about a day after the St. Louis Cardinals situation, I believe, came out, or it might have been after a couple days after the Marlins. I believe it was the Cardinals, but basically, in terms of his role with the team, that was a part of it. The COVID cases going on around the league. Kind of having his team not exactly playing. I mean, I think they're still in the running for this big playoff turn, but his team not exactly playing well. It just like was a combination of things where he felt like, according to Jeff Passan, that going through all this bullshit, having no social life, was it really worth it this season? And in his opinion, it was no. So he texted the team, the general manager, that he was opting out of the season. He was done. And when the front office and coaching staff went to his room to go talk to him about it and check on him, all of his stuff was gone, and he had left already and probably went back to his Florida home. And he told Jeff Passan he was just over it. Simple as that. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not surprised by this behavior, Julio. I mean, we know him pretty well. He played for us for a long time. I'm not surprised by this behavior. I'm also not upset with it because I kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah, we're used to the flare of dramatics from him. The even weird part was that the Mets more or less put out like a missing persons tweet.
Yeah.
When, like, we can't, like, which was terrifying because when we saw that news Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, we're like, oh shit, he might be like in danger. And then eventually they went back and said he's in fine shape. He's not hurt. The interesting part too was the Mets GM was actually his former agent. So why do you not have that connection to your player where you could be like have some sort of relationship? And there's probably is a reason why he's his former agent besides his GM job. But he's had injury issues. The times he did get up to the plate this year, he looked good, not necessarily back in what he could be shaped. But just maybe the smart thing to play, especially if this following season, if we're gonna have DH as a international or as an all MLB thing, that opens up some more jobs for him. We know what he can do in the field, but sometimes his body just can't hold up for him. I would personally love it if he could come back. I've been dreaming about that day for 6 years as one of my favorite A's ever. But we'll see. It's also a very Mets thing to happen, to have a player just dip out on you like this with little to no explanation until like a day later.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and another thing that Paston said that I forgot, the nagging injury and having to deal with it, also he just felt like wasn't worth it, whereas he could completely heal if he just didn't play and try to move on. I mean, I don't, even with the DH opening up in the NL, I don't see him getting a massive contract. Maybe like a 1 year, like a one prove yourself deal, probably. But I mean, he'll definitely play in Major League Baseball again.
Yeah, there's too much talent there.
Okay. And then so the next piece of news was Cardinals had 6 players test positive for COVID-19, as well as 7 staff members. Those 6 players, among them Yadier Molina and Paul DeJong. Other players were Edmund Sosa, Rangel Ravelo, Junior Fernandez, and Cody Whitley. There is a rumor going around that they went to a casino, which is potentially a reason how they tested positive. It's not quite the 21 members of the Marlins organization, 18 of them players, but still pretty irresponsible and stupid, in my opinion. And again, I don't want to tell someone how to live their life. I understand that we all want to do our own things. Trust me, I've been a victim of that as well. But like, come on, man. You're playing baseball. You gotta just. It's 60 days. You gotta just suck it up and be responsible. Because not only are you risking yourself, you're risking your teammates and you getting in contact with them. And you don't know what your teammates are going through. They could have a family member who's high risk or something like that. I just this is, in my opinion, this is unacceptable behavior. That's just my personal opinion.
My hope after the whole Marlins situation, where the rumor was that they were at an Atlanta strip club, it's like, guys, please. And then with the Phillies getting delayed, and the reason being for that was I think there was a rumor that some of the Phillies players were hanging out with the Marlins players. I hope by a week or 2 from now, that's going to be the last time we'll see an outbreak for the season. To the point that Rob Manfred pretty much put his foot down, as much hate as we give him and that he deserves, saying like, I will stop the season if this continues like this. And he should, because when you hear players doing stuff like this, it's irresponsible. It looks bad on every other team who's taking this so serious and locking themselves up in their hotels when they're at away games to make sure that we can play a season. It's irresponsible. It's stupid. And there should be, and there will be bigger punishments coming out of this if this happens again.
Yeah, and to be fair, just on what you said about Manfred, so like, he didn't necessarily threaten the players. It was more just like a productive conversation that he had with Tony Clark, saying like, hey man, like if we want this season to continue, like we gotta figure this out and we gotta be on top of this. And Tony Clark agreed, and he told all of his players like, yo, like tighten it up. This is fucking a joke. So like, and yeah, again, I agree with you. For all that he's done shitty this season, I don't blame him for having that type of message, because yeah, this is just insane. Like, especially like for you fantasy owners out there, I'm getting the fucking shitty end of it right now personally.
Absolutely, it's great.
I have a ton. I know, for Julio, I have a ton of Phillies and a ton of Cardinals on my team, and now I'm having to fucking, I don't know, pull some shit out of my ass and just live off the waiver wire right now. But don't worry, I'm going to get those points back, Julio. It's not like those games are completely over. They're just going to be doubled up with some time.
Hey.
Yeah, it's just this is just stupid, and then it's just like it again. It's the endangering your teammates type of thing in their situations. It's just completely selfish of them, and you really got to be thinking about other people, or just don't do it. Just don't fucking play. If you want to go to the casino, just don't play the season. It's fine. Like we don't need you. That's the way I feel.
Just bet with your teammates, like Pete Rose.
Yeah, there you go. The other piece of big news, Mike Soroka tore his.
Do you have to do it? No, you have to do it sad though. You have to do it sad.
That song is so like fun and happy though, like
But this isn't fun and happy. He's tore his Achilles trying to cover first.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, to Mike Soroka, I apologize, but I just really like your name, so I'm celebrating you, not your injury. So Mike Soroka tore his Achilles. Julio, you know more about that than I do. I didn't do as much research.
Yeah, it's just like we're pretty familiar with this injury just because of seeing KD in the finals last year with the Warriors. It's a freak play. You just take the wrong step. That's all that happened. You can tell as soon as he stepped off, you could see the pop in his leg, and that was it. He's going to be out at least a year. We won't see it, which is a bummer because he's the ace of the Braves staff. He was opening day starter. He's been great so far into the season. And just like that, he's gone. So the Braves have some work to do now. Now you have a rotation that you had Felix, who opted out, who we don't know how impactful is going to be. Julio Teheran left in free agency. Mike Fonkowitz, don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but I think that was all right this time. A lot of wishy-washy stuff going on there. So we'll see. It could hurt them in the future. Hopefully we wish him a speedy recovery, and he'll come back just as strong next year.
Yeah, I would be concerned, especially with the Phillies kind of lurking. They've been playing pretty well this season. I would definitely be concerned for them. But if I don't know, I mean, maybe the Mets. I don't know. Their division's not great, so maybe they'll be all right in the long run. But yeah,
their offense should be good enough.
It definitely affects their rotation a lot. Because when you see him, when you're going into a series and you see him in Game 1, it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. Okay, and then the last piece of national news is Julio's boy Joe Adell, who's Julio's kept a close eye on for a few years, just got called up to the Angels. Julio?
Yeah, Joe Adell. It's Adell, not like the singer. He has been one of the Angels' top prospects. They've been waiting to pull him up. Baseball Perspective actually had him as the number 2 prospect in all of baseball this year, only behind Wander Franco with the Rays. Mm-hmm. He was the 10th overall pick in the 2017 draft by the Angels. He got drafted out of high school. His dad was actually a former linebacker for the Saints. He was drafted in '92, but he never got to play a game because he had a back injury. So far in 3 years in the minors, he's played 224 games. He's just a little below 300 at 298, 35 home runs, 143 RBIs.
It's not terrible.
Yeah. Well, there were some injuries, so he didn't get to play like full, complete seasons. Mm-hmm. But the hype is like this guy has he's a complete 5-tool player. He's got great speed. He's got a huge bat. He's got a good glove. So I'm scared.
What position does he play?
He's going to be a right fielder. So the expectations for the rest of the season with the Angels, if he stays up, is of course Trout's going to be in center. He'll be in right, and then in left you're going to have he'll be in left, and then in right you have a platoon between Brian Goodwin and Justin Upton.
That's a good outfield,
first,
man.
At bat last night, he legged out a single. So there's a lot of potential with this guy. They've been waiting a few years to see him come up, so just another thing to keep an eye out with the Angels. They've already got the bats there, but it doesn't really matter because their rotation still kind of sucks.
Yeah. Exactly. So they can score 8 runs, but they're going to give up 10. So at the end of the day, fuck the Angels. All right. And then we're going to new segment that we're adding to News Around the League, the Former A Spotlight. So this is going to be targeted at one of my all-time favorite players, someone I hold near and dear to my heart, Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, right now, is hands down, it's not even close, the best starting pitcher in all of baseball. He is leading all starters in ERA. Well, actually, no. Lance Lynn is technically leading now, but that's because he's pitched less games than Sonny Gray. At .96, he has 3 wins, tied for most wins in the American League, or in the league as well, behind with Shane Bieber and Garrett Cole, and he is second among strikeouts, 28. And let's see, he's up there in WHIP too. .7 WHIP. He's a badass. We all knew when he left the Yankees that he was gonna thrive. We really hoped he would come back, but he signed a big deal with the Reds this offseason. Very happy for him. Glad that he's having success, and we wish him the best. Again, one of my personal top 5 A's of all time, just because I had the pleasure of being able to watch his absolute gem, his rookie season when he went toe-to-toe with Justin Verlander in Game 2 of the 2013 American League Division Series. Gave up 0 runs, only 2 hits. It was fantastic, and he wasn't even supposed to start that game. He got put in that spot about 3 days before because Bartolo Colon had an injury, so he couldn't start. So Sonny Gray came in there and he just fucking lit it up. So we're happy for him. Ain't that right, Julio?
Yeah, actually, shout out to the Reds pitching coach, Derek Johnson. He's been sensational with the Reds rotation because you look what he did with Sonny, Trevor Bauer, as well as Luis Castillo. Like, yeah, they've got the pieces there to make a run with that rotation.
I think they win the Central, man. They're fucking good, and I know the Cubs are playing really well right now. But man, like you look at that roster and it's dirty. And that rotation to go along with
Big
it,
time.
I don't see anybody else in that division doing well. Like the Cardinals have really fallen off. So yeah, I mean, look out for the Reds, especially in a 16-game playoff. I think they for sure are in, or 16 teams. Sorry. All right, let's go to recap.
But now
last week.
It's A's talk.
Yeah, recap last week and / A's news. And we will start that off with the offense. Started off fucking terrible, especially against two awful teams, against the fucking Seattle Mariners. They scored only 3 runs in the first game against the Seattle Mariners on the 31st, and then on the 1st they scored again only 3 runs. Luckily they pulled the win out of that one, and again on the 2nd they scored only 3 runs. But then the offense comes alive for 1 game, and they score 11 runs on the 3rd. Final game against Seattle. Last night they scored 5 runs, but it was a brutal 5 runs. It was 7 innings of just fucking pathetic at-bats after pathetic at-bats. And then, once again, the Laureano, Canha, and Grossman shows up to the plate and scores all the runs pretty much all the runs. I think it was
supplying the offense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first run was Laureano double
last night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I can't think about it. And then.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Last night was the Matt Chapman home run.
Matt Chapman home run was the 1 run, and then Canha came up. He got walked on, which loaded up the bases, and then I think it was Grossman who brought him all home.
No, Piscotty with the walk-off last night.
Well, Piscotty scored. Oh yeah, the walk-off grand slam. Oh my God, sorry guys, sorry folks.
Yeah, he's on the East Coast. Were you able to watch the game live, or were you asleep by that point?
No, I stayed up to watch it. I'm mixing that game and the game before that. That's right, Piscotty walk-off. But still, I mean, it's still been mostly Laureano, Canha, and Grossman who are doing the heavy lifting of this offense. Last night was different. Chapman was 2 for 2.
Yeah,
Piscotty was 2 for 3, but other than that, it's just bad.
Yeah, Chapman's his bat's starting to wake up a little bit. He was below the Mendoza line, but I think after last night he was able to get himself back above it. But looking at the team as a whole, as a team, they're in the bottom 10 of almost every offensive stat. But the good news is they having first place. They're 7-4 leading up to tonight's game. It's Wednesday, August 5th. And their rotation with pitching in general is top 10 within every stat.
Yeah, and Montas looks
So,
like an ace, man. He's pitching really well. He looks like an ace. Mike Fiers had a really good quality classic Mike Fiers start this past week, and Chris Bassett is 2 starts and just been absolutely phenomenal. He just hasn't had much run support.
Yeah, and even we've talked a lot over the last episode as well. Just the bullpen. The bullpen is still being great. The only real blemish was the game that Jordan Weems had the other day on Saturday, where he came in and then right after he got hurt. But besides that, bullpen's been excellent.
Yeah, and Yusmeiro Petit gave up a home run a couple days ago, but they were already up 3-1 or something like that. So it wasn't too.
They're
much
holding
of
their
damage.
end of the bargain.
Yeah, for sure. I watching these at bats, the most frustrating thing is just the lack of like awareness on what's going on at the plate. Like there's several pitches that are clearly strikes, like fastballs in the zone, like not even close on the corners, in the zone that they don't even swing at. Like at least try and foul it off, or at least try to get it into play or something like that. And anything close, like a full count, 3-2, you got to swing at anything close, and they don't. They just watch it and they strike out. And it's like, I don't understand what their approach is at the plate. Like, in order to get the pitch that you need, you got to foul the pitches that you don't want off, so you can get deeper and deeper into the at-bat and hopefully find the pitch you're looking for. They're not doing that. They're like hoping that the umpire is going to be on their side and call balls, but no umpires in any games in MLB are doing that this season. Everybody's calling close pitches.
Yeah, they're not being patient. That's what it seems like. I didn't get a chance to look at how they're doing on the walk category, but yeah, they're kind of free swinging at everything. It's like a little bit of Chris Davis has taken over all of them.
But Julio, here's the thing though, they aren't being patient for the most part, and then when they want to be patient, it's like it's at the wrong time. It's like a 3-2 count, a 2-1 count, and then now they're like watching pitches that are close in the zone and hoping that they're going to be called balls. Like, no, man, you got to swing at these. You got to foul these pitches off. I don't. Because it's just their lack of discipline in their game plan going to their at bats it's bad. Mark Canha has been the most patient hitter. He's been great. Like he's been really sitting on him. He's got a lot of walks, which is insane. I think I shared that that walk to hit ratio with you last night, and that OBP and the OPS that he's got. I think his OPP is 500 right now. Mark Canha's is. It's 500. So half the time this dude gets walked. It's insane.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the last week of last season and the wild card offense happening right now, and that we know that's not them. So we gotta adjust. Hopefully, within these next couple series, they can work some things around. Somebody that we gotta spotlight a little bit, even though they're nowhere near as where they should be offensively. But Chris Davis finally got a home run.
He did. He finally got his home run. I loved watching like the bullpen and then like all the guys up in the stands like lose their mind when he hit his home run. It was great.
Oh shit! Speaking of all the players losing, that was a really fun game on Monday against Seattle. When it was the blowout game when we had Sean Manaea making all the signs for everybody.
Yeah,
man chap. Great. And what was the Mark Canha one?
Well, my favorite was when Marcus Semien came up to bat and he couldn't find his signs quick enough. Manaea. And he's like going through him for 2 at-bats, like, oh shit. And then someone says something to him. You could tell him he kind of like looks back, like, I can't find it. So he just grabs the Go A's one real quick so that he can have one, just have a sign up. It was so funny.
I'm hoping, and it's fun that like that game happened and then the offense exploded. It's like I think they just need to mellow out a little bit. I'm sure they're all probably really hard on themselves. And when you have Sean Manaea doing dumb shit like that, that guy is probably harder on himself than anybody, is just because he hasn't been as successful as he should be as a pitcher so far this season. When you loosen up, you start having fun. We all know this. You start playing better.
Yeah.
Hopefully after that, we'll start seeing some things happening.
That's why I love guys like Sean Manaea. So back to Mark Canha real quick because I have his stats up. So his average is 286, which is pretty good, obviously. His OPP is exactly 500. So half the time he has an at bat, he gets on base. It's insane. And his OPS is 964. Yeah, he's got incredible plate discipline this year, and he needs to teach the other guys something because this is pretty bad.
Yes, we canna.
Yes, we can. Yeah, Chris Davis home run was a lot of fun, and specifically just going through the schedule, so the listeners know if they haven't tuned in, they lost to the Mariners on Friday, but then they put together 4 in a row. They beat the Mariners Saturday 3-2. Beat them again on Sunday 3-2. Beat them on Monday, the infamous game that we were talking about, the 11-1 game, and then last night walk-off grand slam from Stephen Piscotty, 5-1 against the Rangers. Tonight they play the Rangers as well. Sean Manaea starting. That game starts in right now, our time, but that game will be done by the time this podcast goes up.
So yeah, it's crazy. Sean Manaea, another no-hitter. Insane that 2 years in a row he threw in his second career no-hitter. Wow, really impressive.
You just jinxed it. Thank you. I'm just kidding. Yeah, and again, I really want to emphasize Mike Fiers and Chris Bassett really come into their own. 2 veteran pitchers taking control of the rotation. Not that the 2 young guys, or I guess one right now, Luzardo, is pitching bad, but they're doing exactly what they need to do, which is kind of grounding the rotation, which is great. Okay. So let's move on to quickly we have a fact check shot. So last week, Julio said that the Texas Rangers series was going to be in Texas, and he was talking shit about the ballpark. That is not correct. They are playing in Oakland right now. They are at the Coliseum. Can you explain that, Julio? Were you just excited to talk about the stadium? Is that what happened?
So I thought because they were going into Seattle that we were going right into a road trip. Because we've had 2 straight series. Oh my God, it's road trip time because we're going to Seattle. Little did I know. I thought for sure it was there. But you know what? This is only our 3rd episode. Nobody's perfect. Pobity's nerfect. So,
and this is why we take shots.
Chris Davis did hit a home run.
He did, but we still have to take a shot for this. So I have a little thing of Fireball here, so I'm going to take that shot. Julio, I guess you can just...
I'm having a little Lagunitas super cluster.
Yeah, you just take a long swig
Shout
of
out
that.
to Mondo. All right. Yeah, Pobity's nerfect. But speaking of kind of talking about the past week, let's talk about our essential tools.
Yeah.
My guy, last week, I emphasized Sean Murphy. I was like, his bat wasn't there. I didn't really talk about it too much about how important the bat needed to be there, but he did his bargain with the second go around of rotation. Every guy looked much better than their first start. Mike Fiers had the first quality start in the rotation. Sean Manaea is having this weird thing where his first go around through the lineup he looks great, and then the second time is when he gets tagged up. And then we've talked a lot about Frankie Montas and Chris Bassett. And, of course, last night with Luzardo's start, Luzardo was excellent through 5 innings. I think a lot of familiarity of having to catch for him through all those times the minors really showed.
Don't go too deep into Luzardo because we have to preview him for the next segment. But yeah.
Of course. But, I think he held up to his end of the bargain in terms of the backstop, calling the game. So, good job. How about you, Chris? How do you feel about Sean Manaea?
So he did the opposite of what I wanted him to do, but he did exactly what I said was going to be important in terms of his role for this team. And if he was going to continue to struggle, we were going to have an issue because in about a week, actually probably less than that, probably about 5 days, one of our young studs, Mr. AJ Puck, is going to be available to come into this rotation, and he ain't taking Chris Bassett's spot. I'm telling you that right now. Based on what I've seen from Manaea, it's probably going to be his spot.
You're right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So I mean, so he pitched four in a third innings, gave up 6 hits on five runs on 6 hits. Excuse me. 3 of them he earned, only 4 strikeouts. His ERA is 7 at this point. It's just, you know, I think it's got to be something to do with, you know, the groove that he was kind of in at the end of the season last year when he came back. He kind of really put together a good plan for his lack of velocity in terms of mixing up his pitches in the right spots and hitting his spots and being accurate with his pitches. And you know, when you're throwing an 89 miles per hour fastball, you have to be that way. Bartolo Colon's a great example of that. I think his fastball was like 88 miles per hour when he's in his 40s, but he won 18 games back in 2013 because he could throw like 30 straight strikes, like, you know, and he had movement on his fastball, and, you know, whatever was working for the end of the season last year for Canha, it's not working now. So I think he really needs to get out of this pressure role that he's in with starting pitching, especially in a 60-game season, and move to a role that is more his speed for where he's at right now. He will be a successful starting pitcher in this league and probably for our rotation for the time, you know, the future to come. But this season, we just can't afford to give up an automatic loss every 4 starts. So my pitch is, because he always pitches really well in the first 2 innings so far, correct, Julio?
Yes.
My pitch is put him into the bullpen this season as a middle reliever, because he does well when he first comes into a game for an inning or 2. Put him in that role, let him get some confidence, let him work with Bush, try and put together like a really solid, pitching strategy. Really try and get some control on his fastball to utilize every ounce of velocity he's got on it. And then next season he goes right back in the rotation. He's confident. He's fine. I don't really think it's too much of a mental thing with him, because look at him on the sideline. He's so much fun. He's so relaxed. He's so chill. Like, I don't think much gets to him. But
no, not at all.
It is a matter of just putting together the game plan, and right now his game plan isn't working.
I love that idea.
Right?
Because we kind of touch up on it. Like, he's first go around the road in the lineup, he looks great. And I think we'd really depend on him in that role when Puck and Luzardo are going to be starting every 5 days, and we need some backup to these young guys who are coming off of Tommy John surgeries and shoulder surgeries, that we need some guy who's going to eat up some innings for them when their wall is getting hit. Even though Luzardo pitched of what was like 70 something, 80 something pitches last night.
Yeah, he only had 76 pitches.
Yeah, it'd be great, especially when the rotation or when the lineup is going against guys who are throwing 96, 97, like Puck and Luzardo, and then you have Canha coming in here with an 89 mile per hour fastball. Man, Chris, I think you're onto something.
Yeah, dude.
I love that idea.
And you can't really afford to take Bass out of the line or out of the rotation, because he's playing so well, and 2,
yes,
he's an important part of this future. Because so Mike Fiers' contract is up this offseason. Likelihood, knowing Billy Beane, how he works, is that he will not re-sign Mike Fiers, and to his credit, we kind of don't need to. We have a lot of depth at the starting pitcher spot amongst our farm system, and Chris Bassett is locked up until 2023. We got to utilize him for every single ounce of that contract that we can. He is the perfect guy to slide into that rotation spot permanently for the future. Kind of like a good, he's about 30 years old. He's a veteran at this point. He's been in the league for 4 or 5 years. Slide into that like veteran role that kind of like grounds the entire rotation amongst all these young guys: Montas, Canha, Puck, Luzardo. Put him in the middle of the rotation. You know what you get out of him every week. He's got good stuff. He's always consistent. He never really alters. Sometimes teams get the best of him, but he's not like Megden, where it's like lights out one game and then gives up 8 runs. It's like He's a consistent, like, give up a couple runs, but you know what you're going to get out of him. If the offense is behind him, he's going to thrive off that.
Yeah.
I think that's the move, man. And you need to keep Bassett's confidence up. You need to keep him seasoned and keep him going, and culture-wise in the clubhouse and whatnot. And you don't want to, like, kind of mess with his role too much. I think Manaya's young enough to where he can do that for a couple of years, kind of like what David Price did, and then come back and be a successful starter. I think that's the move, man.
And maybe
I really
just hanging out with those bullpen arms, you might learn a thing or two.
Absolutely. Yeah, Hendricks especially. I mean, that guy completely altered his game. He was throwing like 91 miles an hour 3 or 4 years ago, gets almost kicked out of the league, goes and works with a pitching coach. Now he's throwing 97, 98. It's insane.
I love that we're talking about this, and I just peeked my phone. Manaya already gave up a run in the first inning.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So, again, he did what I hoped he wouldn't do, but I said that we probably would see him do, which is unfortunate. Sweet. Oh, wait. Mark Canha. Another one that we talked about last week. Played well. But, again, we kind of already went over his stats, so we don't have to go too deep into it. But he was my other essential tool of the week last week. I kind of gave 2.
Wait, you picked 2?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know. Yeah, we kind of talked about it. We gave up his stats. He's been playing really well. He's been kind of helping ground the offense with Laureano. He's got to keep doing what he's doing. With Chris Davis back, it's going to be a lot better. There's less pressure on him, but he really stepped up to the pressure this past week, and they put him in that 5-hole, which was great, hitting right behind Matt Olson, and he excelled. So I'm happy for him. All right, do you want to pick a player of the week?
Yeah.
All right,
lead it off here.
Yeah, you go first.
I was thinking Canha. And then I actually looked at over the last week. Yeah, his on-base percentage stuff is still great. Still got the 500 OBP. But offense, he didn't hit great overall.
No.
I'm actually going to go with the walk-off king from last night, Stephen Piscotty.
Ooh.
Yeah, Stephen Piscotty, in the last week, he's had 19 at-bats. He's batting .368 during that week.
Yeah.
His bat is coming alive, so... And this is something that we've wanted for a long time. We've seen what he was able to do in his first season in 2018, where he hit 25-plus home runs. I think he was hitting like 260, 270 range.
He was like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Last season,
injuries
galore. He was hampered by them. And now he's come back full season, or whatever this season is, coming back healthy, and he's producing in this last week. Especially on a team where we'll need production fast when we're seeing guys like Matt Olson and Chris Davis and Marcus really kind of suffering a little bit. So to see that coming up, and plus that clutch, all we're going to do now is walk off grand slams. It's the new rule. It's great to see, especially somebody that I know I've given him a hard time before. To you in the past, not necessarily on air, but I think we're both huge fans of him. We love seeing guys who are from the East Bay can come up with this team that they rooted for, especially everything that's happened in his personal life. It's awesome to see that he's performing right now, and I hope he can continue it, especially if he's going to be the everyday guy out there.
Yeah. So we forgot to mention, though, obviously the real player of the week is Ramon Laureano, but both of us chose not to pick him because we wanted to go with one that's not so obvious.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you're playing the 04 Falcons with Michael Vick and Madden. Like, no, that's cheating. Don't.
That's actually a great.
We'll see how he continues, but we should just rename the segment "Players of the Week" that aren't Ramon Laureano.
Yeah. Because he just absolutely killed it. He came up with so many clutch hits when they needed it. He was a big part of that 11-run game. He drove in, what is it? I have it up right here. Drove in 2 RBIs that day. He walked, was 2 for 3, only struck out once. He was fantastic.
What about you?
So mine is Frankie Montas because he had a
Frankie.
absolute bitchin' start against Seattle. Yes, he got a lot of run support, 11 runs, but he only gave up 1 run, only earned 1, gave up only 4 hits, walked 4, and 9 strikeouts. He just looked like an ace that day, and if he keeps this up, he's going to be in. I mean, he's already in the conversation for Cy Young, but he's going to be in the conversation at the end of the season if he keeps putting up numbers like this. He had 2 quality starts before, but they weren't as dominant as this one. This one was just absolutely fantastic. And what was really important about that start was he pitched 7 innings, so he really ate up some innings. Only Wendelken and Trevino came in after that, so he gave the bullpen some much needed rest, especially guys like Yusmeiro Petit, who all he does is pitch. Literally has no other hobbies but pitching, so that was good.
For a second, I thought you said Yusmeiro Poutine. I'm like, that sounds delicious.
Poutine?
Oh,
Pootie
God,
Tang?
miss poutine.
All right, so we're going to, so per usual, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll jump into our feature segment for the week. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Yep, we are back. Sean Manaea just gave up 15 runs.
No, he did not, you fucking liar.
This is what I get for literally just saying, oh, yeah, he's throwing a no-hitter, and he gave up a run in the first.
What is he actually at? I haven't checked my phone in a second.
He only gave up the 2 hits and 1 run, but we got to run around first.
Okay.
Mark
all right, so
first,
this week's featured segment is going to be called Young Gunz, a.k.a. I'll be traded in 5 years. This is a segment where we talk about young and upcoming prospects who either just got called up or have been called up this season, and we just want to talk about them and what we can either potentially see from them or celebrate something that they've done lately and been impressive. So this week's spotlight, we'll start with him. Yesterday was Jesus Luzardo Day.
Yes.
It was actually a holiday amongst A's fans. It was all over Twitter. Everybody, acknowledged it. Happy Jesus Luzardo Day. I said it to you, Julio, yesterday.
Yes, it was beautiful.
And he had his first start in the major leagues. He had obviously been in relief at the end of last season, and in the beginning of this season. He pitched an absolute fucking gem yesterday. He only threw, like we said earlier in the podcast, 76 pitches. I think he was on an innings or pitch restriction. I think that's probably why, because he was dominating before he was taken out. But he only gave up 2 hits. He had 5 Ks, no earned runs. He just fucking dominated. It was amazing. His first 2 innings went by like that. It felt like. His 3rd and 4th inning, he got a few guys on base, so it slowed down a little bit. And I think in his 4th inning, he was at 68 pitches at the end of it. And Julio, you texted me and you were like, "When did his pitch count go up so much?" I'm like, "Well, he got a couple guys on. I think that's kind of why." But his first 2 innings, I remember watching and be like, 5 minutes later, what the fuck? It's over already? What? This is insane.
I don't remember I think the last time it may have been this excited for somebody getting called up was probably Sonny, because we had a lot of expectations of when Sonny got called up all those years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was multiple times where I would just watch the game and I'm like, oh my god, where you just get pinpoint 96, Ryan into inside top corner.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's breaking. Everything was breaking perfectly. I think the biggest thing that stood out, we talked about the pitch count was a little high, but he just looked like he had so much control for a guy that was making his first start. And I think this is a trend in terms of just how cool he keeps things. If you think about when he was in the wild card game last year, he went 3-4 innings and he completely shut down the Rays after Manaea kind of shit the bed a little bit. The craziest part is how excited we are for him.
Matt also just hit a 2-run home run, so sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Let's go. How excited we are for him, but we still Puck hasn't even began to hit his potential yet. We haven't seen a full start from him. And there's another guy we're going to be talking about a little bit later that we've been talking about for years.
Mm-hmm.
So excited for that as well.
I don't think Puck has had a start yet, actually.
No, not yet. Well, he was in the bullpen last year. Yeah. So who knows? And I don't think he's going to be in when he does come back. He probably won't get in the rotation for like at least a couple weeks.
Yeah. He'll probably come out of the bullpen at first. Yeah.
But everything, it's going to be fun seeing him this weekend going against that Astros lineup who cheated,
fuckers.
Everybody, their three main guys. I think Jose Altuve's been like 150.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. We didn't get to talk about this. Small tangent. Did you see Dave Stewart a couple nights ago? He was talking about Laureano. He's like, it's just so crazy that they got him from the Astros for nothing. So thanks a lot, you cheaters.
Yeah, I did. It was great.
Yeah.
I love how Dave Stewart has no filter on A's pre and post game. It's just fucking fantastic.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Back to Luzardo. He looks like the truth. There's a reason why we've been talking about him for so long, why he was a top 10 prospect in baseball, and last night was a great example of it.
Would you say that it's just down low for the listeners out there, so Luzardo's a classic fastball changeup pitcher. He does throw a curve and a slider, but he's just classic climb the ladder fastball changeup, change up the speed, change up the eye level. He does it very well. And he throws his fastball about as much as he throws his changeup. He is 22 years old. He is the first ever Major League Baseball player from Peru, born in Peru, which is a pretty cool stat about him. He's been our number one prospect for about 2 years, but he's been in the top 5 for about 4. He was drafted straight out of high school, so we've had him in the system for a long time.
And we got him. And if you think about, we got him through the trade for Sean Doolittle and Ryan Matson. Part of that trade, a part of that trade was Blake Trinan. So that's really been a huge win-win trade for both teams.
Absolutely. What was I gonna say? Oh, so do you? Just curious. Would you say that? Who would you say was more talked about when they first came up, though? Sonny Gray is definitely the one who's been talked about as much, but who would you say it was more talked about, Sonny or him? Because I remember they were talking about Sonny for about a year and a half, also, because he was a first-round pick. He was a big deal. I remember when he first came up, he also came into the bullpen, and it was like this big story. In his first appearance, it was like this major story. Everybody in that. I remember that game. It was like his first game that he came up, was like a sold-out game at the Coliseum. Everybody wanted to see if he was going to come into that first game and shit. And who would you say was more?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to that. Was that 2013 when he got called up?
Yeah, middle of 2013.
And the A's were already a pretty good team by the point we just won the AL West the year before. We were pretty much competing with the Tigers for the top of the AL.
And we had a pretty good grounded rotation at that time. It was Brett Anderson was kind of leading it, and then Bartolo Colon and Jared Parker. Like those guys, those 3 guys were pitching really well.
Yeah, and if you think about it too, there are some pretty similarities between both of the situations with the rotations itself. You have kind of the younger guys, the younger vets, I guess, with like Minaya and Montas. You have kind of the journeyman starter in Fires and Colon, and then you have kind of like the where this guy come from with Bassett and Tommy Malone. It's too hard to say. I think it's too hard to say right now.
Yeah.
I think because of us being stuck inside and not having much to do, I feel like the hype for Luzardo was very high. Mm-hmm. And plus, but when Sonny came up, that was a very special summer. And how, especially when you talked about it, him going against one-on-one against Justin Verlander, the playoffs kind of cemented that year for him.
I mean, the reason why Sonny was, I think it's definitely Luzardo because we've been talking about him for years, and he comes up and he's like pretty much straight to the rotation. A big reason why like Sonny Gray didn't go straight to rotation was because that rotation was so established and put together. I think Drew Pomeranz was in that rotation too. Like it was guys who were pitching well all season, and like it was like, do we really want to fuck this up? And then Jared Parker went down, and that was when Sonny moved from the bullpen into that starting role and kind of took over that spot. It was great watching him last night. I really hoped, and he's been pitching so well in his reliever appearances all season too. So I'm excited for the future. Fun fact, what?
I saw Jared Parker at Tiki Tom's in Walnut Creek one time.
Was that when he was like pitching for the A's, or was it like after?
I think he had just had Tommy John, and he hadn't pitched in like a year. And it's like 2015. And I'm like, it was just this guy, this kind of tallish guy, surrounded by like a bunch of chicks. And I think I knew one of the girls from some reason.
Yeah.
I think I went to like college with her. And I'm like, I remember that girl. I'm like, it's Jared Parker.
Interesting. All right. Walnut Creek.
Running with fame, baby.
You can run into a lot of people like that at Walnut Creek.
Especially in Walnut Creek.
Yeah. All right, so the next young gun we're going to talk about, who will be traded in 5 years, is Sean Murphy. Everybody, I think, most people in A's fans were fans of Josh Phegley. He had been with the team for a long time, about 5 years at that backup role. He finally got his shot to be the starter last year, and he fucking killed it. Got a nice little contract with who was it? I want to say it's the Reds, but I know for a fact that's wrong. Like a 2-year.
He went to the Cubs.
Cubs, there it was.
Yeah.
So, but it's because this guy has been in our system for a while. Everybody knew he was coming. Sean Murphy, known to be a defensive catcher. He's supposed to have a pretty decent power with his bat. He's supposed to not be the greatest average hitter, but he's a stud on the defense, especially his arm. He's probably got the best arm of any catcher prospect we've had in the system. So far, so good. He seems to have a really good rapport with the pitchers, especially. So this is one thing you talked about last week. Watching him, and also this week, watching him and Luzardo's first start and see how they mesh because they went up through the system together. It seemed really well last night. I didn't see Luzardo shake him off once, and I was like trying to look for that too.
Because they've been playing together for almost at least 2 years now.
Yeah,
and he's been catching with puck as well. So that's kind of a huge upside when you have your prospect catchers. They already caught a lot of these guys coming up in your rotation.
His bat hasn't been great, but he's a rookie. That'll come. I'm not too worried about it. As long as he can get the most out of his starters, then I'll be a happy camper. Also, he's a catcher. Modern day, you don't really expect too much hitting-wise from the catchers, but he's been good. We'll move on to the person you could tell.
Get one or the other.
Yeah, typically you do. Well, unless you're Yachty or Molina, then you get both. Or JT Realmuto too. All right, well, I can see it on Julio's face. He just really wants to talk about this person. So we'll get into the next one. So Jordan Weems had an injury a couple days ago, which is probably why he gave up like three to 5 runs, something like that, in that one outing he had a couple days ago. So he went on the IL, and James Caprillion is going to come in and replace him in the bullpen. Take it away, Julio.
James Caprillion. If you haven't heard the name, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of the guy who could potentially be a stud in this rotation in the future. He's from Laguna Beach, Southern California. He went to Beckman High School in Irvine. So this is something that I found out super interesting. His high school is 15 minutes away from El Toro High School in Forest Hill, or whatever Orange County City that is. Anyways, home high school of Matt Chapman. Did some research. We haven't found out yet through any beat writers, but there's a pretty good chance he pitched against Chappie in high school. They were only like 2 years apart. Really cool stuff. He was drafted out of high school to Seattle, bypassed it, and decided to go pitch for UCLA, prestigious pitching program, as we know, with guys like Trevor Bauer, Garrett Cole coming to their programs recently. He started as a reliever, and he was a stud in 34 games. He had 53 strikeouts. He moved into the rotation. And then in 2015, he actually combined, through a combined no-hitter, it's been the only no-hitter in UCLA history. So great stuff there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Again, with those huge names that's come through, it's super impressive that he's done that.
Yeah, definitely.
He was taken 16th overall by the Yankees in 15. He did some minor league work there until he got Tommy John surgery in April of 2017. And then that year, we've talked about this guy a lot. I guess this is the Sonny Gray episode. He was traded to Oakland along with Dustin Fowler, which I don't know where the hell Dustin Fowler is right now.
Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck Dustin Fowler's deal is right now.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that once we finish run through this because I'm super curious. And then Jorge Mateo, who just got shipped out to the Padres for Sonny Gray. In 2019 was his first full year back in the minor league system after recovering from Tommy John. He was in 19 games. He pitched 16. He started in 16 of those. Throughout that time, he had a 3.18 ERA, pitching in 68 innings, had 75 strikeouts to 16 walks. So homeboy is a strikeout pitcher. Very excited stuff, especially coming into the bullpen. He could be one of these guys when Fires does eventually walk, who could compete for this other rotation spot along with Chris Brassett, and we've heard a lot about Grant Holmes. So it's going to be exciting. I hope he can stay there in this rotation or in the bullpen when he does get called up.
So that was a weird transition because for the listeners, I put my finger up in the Zoom because I wanted to touch on his minor league stats, but I think Julio thought that I was telling him to stop. So my bad, Julio. I just wanted to chime in there. So one thing that I saw really interesting about his minor league stats when I went through at least last year's 2019 season, every single stage that he went up, because he went through every single system, he went from single A all the way up to triple, he got better and better each level up, which is like, you never see that. So with Stockton, he pitched 11 games. He started 10, was 2-2 with a 4.46 ERA and 43 strikeouts. And then he went up to Midland. This is AA ball. Played 7 games, started 5 of them, 2-1 with a 1.63 ERA and 26 strikeouts. Then he goes up to AAA. He only pitches 1 game, 2.2 ERA with 6 strikeouts, so he only had 1 start. But still, like every level up, he did better, which you never see that. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, so he is he's a little bit of everything pitcher. He doesn't really specialize in one pitch. He throws everything about the same: fastball, curveball, changeup, slider. All about the same. He's all just as good as all of them. He's 26 years old. Yeah, he's part of the Sonny Gray trade. He was pretty. He was one of those guys who was really hyped up when he was drafted, and then he got his Tommy John. So the Yankees were a little bit worried about him. So they were like, "All right, we'll throw him in this Sonny Gray trade." When really the main piece that the A's were trying to get out of that one was Mateo and Dustin Fowler.
And you kind of hit it on the head. Yeah, at one point he was kind of like the bell cow for the Yankees. He was kind of like going to be the next huge guy in this rotation.
Yeah.
Until he got this Tommy John surgery, and they kind of just went to win now mode and decided to trade him. It's going to be, especially with like how our bullpen already is too, where it's weird. I'm not used to an A's bullpen that has so many strikeout potential guys. With Hendricks, Soria, and then JP Wendelken's got some strikeout stuff. Lou Trevino does. It's interesting. Like, we have another guy like that, and if he can actually pitch to what he could, then yeah, there's a hell of a lot of potential in him. Very excited. Hopefully, we can see him start or see him pitch pretty soon in this bullpen.
So so it's interesting that you say that he was a reliever in college and he excelled at that, because I was already kind of seeing him as, before knowing that information, which, by the way, this podcast was the first time I heard that information. Julio did most of the research on Caprillion. I was kind of seeing him just because of how stacked our rotation starter guys is right now. With him being locked up for several more years and all the rest of our guys being locked up for more years, I kind of only saw him as a way to getting on the roster is in the bullpen. So like, to hear that he had success as a reliever, I think that's his move, at least on our roster. And he could really excel there. And Hendricks is a free agent after this season. Realistically, the A's are not going to be re-signing Liam Hendricks. They're going to do what they always do. They always turn out new talent at the closer position. Billy Beane has never paid a relief pitcher, a closer at least. He's paid like setup guys, but he's never paid for a closer. I don't think he values it that much because he always thinks that he can find that value somewhere in his system. Caprillion could be that guy.
And honestly, he's kind of been right. If you look at how
Absolutely.
many guys we've seen walk in free agency and then we bring in the next guy afterwards, go back all the way, Jason Hisringhausen leaves. Billy Koch takes over. Billy Koch leaves. Keith Folk takes over.
Exactly.
Keith Folk leaves Houston Street. On and on and on and on. He's a potential. It could be him, Trevino, or I'm a big fan of JP Wendelken.
Yeah.
It could be one of those three guys who could become the next all-star closer for the A's.
Yeah, and maybe they bring back Petit, but I think Petit's probably going to retire. He's pretty old at this point.
Maybe. I did hope they'd bring him back, but I don't think he's the closer to me.
Yeah,
But he's extremely valuable at everything he does.
Yeah.
When he does come in.
Yeah, I mean, and you look back on all the closers we had. Andrew Bailey's also in there. Brad Ziegler's in that conversation. Sean Doolittle, Grant Balfour. All those guys, more or less, except for Doolittle and Street, when they moved on, they didn't have much success. So it's kind of like maybe Billy Beane is right in that aspect. The only closer I think I would have wanted them to offer a contract is Houston Street, just because he was so good for so long after that, and he was so good for us at that point. But other than that,
what do you mean? We never would have got Matt Holliday.
Oh God. Let's not talk about that. I would still rather have Houston Street for a couple more years and deal with Matt Holliday's fucking bitch ass. I'm just kidding. He didn't like Oakland very much, so that's why I have something against him.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
we're not wrong.
He didn't do much for us. Anyway, sorry, James Caprillion. So yeah, I think that's kind of the move for him, but we'll see where it goes. I know a lot of people have been talking about AJ Puck his future might be in the bullpen because of the way his stuff is, and it's more successful in a short inning, whatever role. But we'll see what happens. I like Puck as a starter.
Excited though. So definitely somebody when our listeners are going to be watching the game. We hope this is some information that'll help you out, where you can kind of keep an eye out when this guy comes in. He's not just some random Rule 5 draft pick the A's picked up, or some random guy they traded for to get a Pepsi machine. This guy could be a stud. So
yeah. This segment is definitely for the listeners who don't pay as close attention to the minor league system as me and Julio do. So look out for him for sure. Okay, so let's preview the coming week, Julio.
Yeah.
All right, so tomorrow, or if you're listening to this the day it comes out, today, Thursday, the 6th, last game against the Rangers series. It's a day game, a 12:40 start time, and then after that it gets tough.
And Mike fires through another no-hitter.
Oh God,
it's crazy,
you're gonna jinx it again, you son of a bitch.
It's gonna work. I hope one day it'll work.
You're just gonna say that every single episode until for the just remaining existence of this podcast, just to hopefully one day.
Chris Davis hit 3 home runs. Yeah, 3 home run performance of Chris Davis. Really needed that.
This weekend is gonna be a tough one though. This is the big series of the season so far. The Astros come to town in a 3-game series. Friday night they play at 6:10 p.m. Saturday at 1:10 p.m. afternoon game, and then Sunday another afternoon game at 1:10 p.m. What can we expect to see out of that series, Julio?
There is a petition or a change.org, or no, I'm sorry, GoFundMe going around that some guy is trying to fly a banner over the Coliseum saying the Houston Asterix. I 1,000% expect pettiness. That's for sure. I have a quick quote from Sean Manaea here, from Alex Coffey from The Athletic, talking about how they're getting a season with no fans for the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating just in fact that it seems like they're getting by so easily. I think things could have played out differently. I kind of wish they would have. It sucks that this situation has happened and nothing's really happened to an organization that's ultimately did some crazy stuff. It sucks, but we have to play games and win games. So I think there's stuff that we can look past. But at the same time, we just gotta keep on going and put them in the rearview mirror. I love that attitude. Put them in the rearview mirror because guess what? The A's are in first right now. I hope by this series we'll have a good series, a good at least 2 wins out of the series, have a solid lead in front of them. There's going to be a lot of dramatics though. I think we'll see some accidental hit by pitches.
But who do you think is going to throw them? That's what I want to know. So I'm trying to think of players who would throw at them. I don't think Mike Fiers has it in him. I don't think Luzardo has it in him. I don't think Montas has it in him. I don't think Canha has it in him. Maybe
rotation,
Bassett.
That's funny that you say that. On Friday, the matchup will be Greinke against Bassett. Saturday, we got Valdez against Montas. And then Sunday, we have a rookie with Javier against Jesus Luzardo. Another interesting thing I actually read about the Astros the other day, they have already used 9 rookie pitchers this season. Kind of shows you, it kind of shows you kind of the injury woes that's already going through their rotation.
Yeah.
And honestly, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, fuck them. Out of the bullpen, just in general for any pitcher on our staff, Liam Hendricks, if he gets in there, he's 100% beating Jose Altuve. He's the only pitcher I think would have the balls to do it and just be like, and after he hits him, be like, kind of like the Joe Kelly look, like, let's fucking go. Let's fucking do this. Come on. Yeah. Like, actually, it's just that Australian confidence.
I'd imagine if we have like a solid lead on them, he's just going to keep bugging Beaumont. He'll find a way to use the bullpen phone to call into Beaumont and being like, put me in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hitting these fuckers. I'm hitting one of them. And I hope he does. I know old baseball guys are like, Beanball, you shouldn't hit people. Like, no.
Guys like
baseball
John
did
Heyman.
a terrible job. Oh, get out of here, John Heyman. Stupid Bitmoji guy. Baseball had their opportunity. You could have punished these guys. You let them walk.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other situation. And then they cheated and acted so cocky about it this whole time. They deserve it. I hate to say it. I'm not a violent person at all. I'm a pacifist, I guess. But no, screw them. Let them get hit.
Jessica Mendoza said this on, I think it was Levitard the other day. She said, like, though I don't condone throwing at guys, like, at the same time, because you did nothing, baseball, the players feel like they have to take it in their own hands because you didn't do your job and do it. So if I was a player, I would probably feel the same way, and I might do the same thing. She flat out said it that way, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's probably how people feel. And on top of that, Rob Manfred's gonna go and defend them, and punish people like Joe Kelly for taking it in their own hands because he didn't do it. Like, what the fuck do you expect, dude? Like, what do you expect? It's just sad.
It's weird. We usually disagree with a lot with Jessica Mendoza, and that's the one thing I'm like, all right, cool, great job.
No, I mean, she said it how it is. Like, and I can't disagree with that. And I think that's a big reason why I don't like her is because a lot of times she says it the way it is, and I just don't like the way it is. So that's I will give her respect in terms of that with her broadcasting. I think that's going to be just an intense series in general. There's already a rivalry going because of, the division implications the past 3 seasons. The A's were the team that tried to first brought this to MLB's attention, and the MLB did nothing about it. So I think that's also on their mind. Jeff Passan famously said that without saying it in an interview, that they were the first team to report it to the MLB, and they famously did nothing. I think also with Mike Fiers being on the team and being the one who outed them, that's also going to raise a lot of tensions. And then, it's just 2 good baseball teams too. So we'll see. A lot of personalities on both teams also that speak their mind. Sean Manaea, I could actually see I could see him say something, but I don't see him throwing at someone.
And I
Which he's
think
not
it's the
starting
point.
anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It's pretty well established that like these guys don't like each other.
No.
There's definitely, I think this is definitely a rivalry at this point. I know Chappie's a pretty mellow guy for most of the part, but yeah, I think there's huge bad blood with these teams.
Yeah. And then so the rest of the week on Monday the 10th, we go to Anaheim and the Angels. That is a 6:40 start time. Tuesday, 6:40 start time, and then Wednesday is the last game of that series, a 1:10 start time, a day game. I think we're going to see more or less the same type of series against the Angels.
Yeah, no.
Mike Trout's back. That's true.
Will. Dad Trout, he's got dad strength now. That's huge. We didn't see Anthony Rendon in that first series.
Is he back?
So he is back.
Okay.
His first game back with the Angels last Monday. He hit a home run.
So probably more competitive. That's a good point. Probably more competitive.
Joe Adell, it's going to be his first time against the A's. And then it sounds like Ohtani's just going to be a full-time DH the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, I say all this stuff about the Angels offense, but their rotation's still going to suck. Kind of. As long as
if our offense can figure it out and we can score runs, then I'm not too worried about it.
As long as they don't have to really have another funky game like they did against Andrew Heaney on opening day, and as long as they can, I haven't seen how the rotation's going to line up, but if they can avoid Griffin Canning, then they should easily be able to out-hit these guys. But it's always a fun series. It's always a good time when they play the Angels.
Definitely. Okay. Cool. So you want to pick our essential tools of the week, and then we'll call it an episode. You want me to go first? Or do you want to go first?
You go first.
All right. So this week it's gonna be, again, Sean Manaea, and the reason why. Look. Okay. Hey. Hold on. The reason why is because one, he's pitching right now, so I think the start today is gonna be very important. So how he bounces back, and then he's going to have another start this coming week as well. So, again, with AJ Puck looming around the corner, and now James Caprillion, lurking in the bullpen, there's a little bit of pressure on Sean Manaea. So he's got to spend his spare time looking at scouting reports on hitters, and less time making signs for his players while they're batting. So
still keep doing that though. It's fun.
Still keep doing that, but focus on your studying first. He's probably going to keep showing up every once in a while in my essential tools of the week in the coming episodes, just because that rotation spot is so important. Again, with 60 games, you can't afford to have a guy go out there and try and learn from his mistakes, because there's very little room for them. So he's my essential tool of the week for 2 weeks in a row. But last week I had two, technically. I technically only had one, but I talked about Manaea, so it was kind of two. So technically this is my first time picking him as the essential tool of the week. Technically.
Yeah, I'll take it. I think he's, and just from looking at what's going on in the game right now, it looks like he's bounced back a little bit after that first inning little rough up. So, and the thing is, we're huge Manaea guys, so we're hope he can kind of pick it up again and get back to where he could be. My guy, we talked about him, hinted at him a little bit earlier today, and we talked about him yesterday in our pre-show stuff, but I think Chris Davis is going to get out of his slump. And I think this is going to be the week he'll do it.
Well, he isn't in the lineup today. It's Mark Canha at the DH spot.
Well, today is irrelevant because this is still a part of the last week's schedule.
Touché.
Starting tomorrow. I think this is when, after seeing him finally getting a home run on Monday, seeing how excited the team was, we've known for him over the last 4 years, really, in Oakland, The dude's a streaky hitter. He's a streaky power hitter. And I'm hoping, like, if this is the time where it really starts lining up, because let's be real, the offense really doesn't start clicking out as a whole and really can't get to their full potential unless he's the person that starts it.
Yeah.
Because if he starts hitting and he can actually getting his confidence back and he can start hitting bombs all over the field, that's going to make pitchers question the rest of the lineup so much more, and then you're going to start seeing things open up for Ollie and for Chapman and for Marcus. The rest of the team's kind of doing fine right now, but those are the guys, like, we're still have a winning record. We're still in first place without those guys contributing. And once Chris starts taking off, and my prediction is this week is the week he'll do it, don't be surprised if all those guys start falling in line with him.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have him at that 4-hole again, being productive. Moving Canha to 5 instead of having him have to bump up to 4, and hopefully Chapman get it going. He can move into that 2 spot again, and it'd just be nice all around for sure. I agree. All right, I think that's gonna do it, Julio. Unless you have any last comments, remarks, concerns.
No, that's pretty much it. We got to wrap this up because we've been at this tailgate where the game started 15 minutes ago and we're still tailgating.
I know, but we've already established that we're those guys who tailgate like a good 45 minutes after first pitch. So
we just get some beers in and have a man talk.
Exactly. All right, time to pack up the gear, take the coals off the grill, pack it in the car, grab your last beer, and we're heading into the game. Thank you for listening.
Hey, don't forget, we make sure to hide your valuables in the trunk.
Always put them in the trunk. Don't leave them out in the open because, especially if you parked in the BART parking lot. All right, thank you for listening, everybody. That was Town Tailgate Podcast this week. We will be back next week, as always. And last but not least, let's go Oakland.
Let's go Oakland. See y'all next week.
The Town Tailgate is an independently produced podcast. It is executive produced and written by me, Chris Madrigal, and Julio Reynoso. It is produced by me. It is sound designed by me. The artwork and graphic design was done by Larry Madrigal, and the opening theme was composed, written, and produced by Larry Madrigal as well. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.